see 6 o'clock. So I would like to call this meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic
for which
for which it
it
stands,
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice
for all.
All right, thank you all for coming to this second meeting on January 25th for the Shelton School Board. And school board members, have you had a chance to take a look at the agenda?
Yes.
There will be one revision or addition to the agenda. We do have in the consent agenda the need to add item 6.06, which is a payment to the family of a former employee. And so that was a last minute addition that needed to be added before we adopt the agenda. Does anybody have any questions, or is there a motion?
I move to adopt the agenda as changed.
I'll second that.
Great. It has been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda with the addition of item 6.06. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the agenda has been adopted. And now we'll move on to the superintendent report. Wyeth, if you would like to take yourself off mute.
Here we go. Thank you, Board President Davidson and other board directors. Good evening. So I'll try to make my update a little brief today. We have a number of items. I'm really happy to have staff here presenting and describing some of the things going on for us. I have 4 updates just regarding COVID. Really, we use 2 particular metrics. We monitor daily the number of students who are getting tested and those who receive back a test that's positive. In addition to, we monitor every day the number of certificated positions filled or unfilled. And so those 2 things kind of tell us where things are at, how many folks are out as we manage into both our response system about case tracking and how many kids are out and getting them supports, as in addition to just keeping our doors open and our lights on so that we can continue to operate to support the health and safety of the entire community. And so right now, today was an excellent day for the Shelton School District. So we are doing well in our testing, cutting down on the number of students testing positive, and we've had very few staff out today. So that was a good day. Again, that can change at any given time, as we're all familiar with this pandemic, but I just would say a tremendous thank you to our staff. I'm not one to heap on praise, but I will say thank you. They are doing a tremendous job serving our students, supporting them each and every day. And so I'm just very, very thankful for them. The second one is around, we're going into enrollment, budget, and staffing time. More to come on this. We'll be bringing some things to, obviously, staff meetings, and probably looking to bring on a work session with the board just so we can keep them updated. But ultimately, I would just want to announce that it was around our enrollment. We've been looking at that, and I think it'll keep pretty steady as what it is this year will be next year. Again, we're in a pandemic. There can be shifts, but we believe we'll be keeping around the same number, around 4,200 kids here as far as enrollment for the Shelton School District coming up as we plan for the 22-23 school year. Strategic planning continues. Last week was a big week. We had both a steering committee meeting and a planning team meeting. The steering committee was working on the mission, vision, and our belief statements. So working on drafting some of the language and some of the attributes and qualities we want in those things. And then we were also looking at priorities and having a nice fruitful conversation of what is the work that we want to focus on for the next 5 years. And then the planning team was working just on the same things, but spending more time on the priorities because it was made up of district administrators who need to get way in the weeds as we, again, prepare to do budget and staffing as we plan for not only next year, but again, for the upcoming school years, as we want to have a laser-like focus and support ultimately the outcomes for our students. Board President Davidson was there for the steering committee. She had an opportunity to see that live. And even today I was out because we're in the phase of me going out to every single school and meeting with the staff to give them an update, just like I'm giving you one, and further getting their input just in what our priorities are and our belief statements. So it was really good. I was out at Cedar High School today. Last one is just our English language task force. Meetings are going really well. We're having some increased participation by our families, and specifically really looking forward to weaving in their work into some of our drafted priorities, which is literacy instruction and safe and welcoming environments. So presenting to the school board next school meeting in February 8th. And so I'll be able to give you more details as we continue down that road. Looking forward to it. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your report. And yes, I thank you also for your invitation to come in and sit in on that strategic planning steering committee meeting. I thought that everybody there was, there was such a high level of engagement, a high level of participation. I was very impressed by the 3 facilitators that were there. So I can also say to the board it was just a really good experience to go to the Olympic College campus and see that group at work and have a chance to participate a little bit. I didn't want to participate too much because ultimately all of this is going to come back to all of us to discuss as well too. But did anyone have any questions or comments for the superintendent after his report? And if there are none, we will move on to community comments. So at this time, I'm going to take a moment to read our standard protocol around our community comments. As part of the regular school board meeting, the board invites community members to make public comments in person and/or by phone as conditions allow by calling 1-253-215-8782 and entering meeting ID number 872-5618-1978. Our public comment procedure allows each person 3 minutes to speak, and comments will be heard during the community comment period as listed on the agenda. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is not allowed to discuss items not on the agenda, but may direct the superintendent to follow up on issues that arise during public comment. Please be mindful of how you present your testimony, as the board will not allow complaints against an individual staff member or student in open session, unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. Please follow the public comment procedure by stating your name when recognized by the board chair. So at this time, could we have a reminder for anyone on how they can take themselves off of mute to make a community comment?
When you call in, everybody is automatically muted. Pressing *6 on your phone will toggle between muted audio and unmuting audio. If you wish to make a comment when you connect, please press *9. That will raise your hand, which creates a flag that we can see indicating that you wish to make a comment, and you will be called upon in turn. Once again, *9 raises your hand or lowers your hand again. *6 toggles between mute and unmute.
Thank you, Bob, for that reminder. We'll give it a moment to see if there's anyone who would like to make a community comment at this time. All right, it doesn't look like there is at this time. There is an opportunity towards the end of the meeting. So we will move on to section 5, which is reports and recognitions. And we will start, as usual, with the report from our student school board representatives. And I believe I saw at least one on here today. Richard Beckman, are you available to give us a report this evening? Oh, and I see Audra is here too. I'll go to you next, Audra.
Good evening. Yes, I am available this evening. So, at Shelton High School, we have been getting ready for the incoming freshmen. So, there's been a lot of planning going into that at the administration level, and they've been going around to the different junior highs in our district. So, OBGH and Pioneer, I believe, have both been visited. So, getting ready for next school year, and also with class selection. I believe at the high school level, students are going to start picking out their classes in February. So it's nice that they're getting starting to work on that earlier in the school year, because it makes it a lot less hectic when trying to fit all the puzzle pieces in and trying to get all the students to classes that they want. And I've also been told that we are in the process of planning things for Celebrate Black History Month. So that's really cool. And then on the sportsy side of things, like campus life, dance team had a competition on the 22nd, and they got second place in 3 events. So go Shelton. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Richard. Are there any questions for Richard at this time? Or any comments for him? We really appreciate the updates about what's going on there at Shelton High School. And I have an 8th grade daughter myself, so I was up there listening to the orientation presentations. So, and hearing also from her about how they've been in OBGH. So thanks for bringing all of that up. And Audra, I saw you out there. Are you available this evening to give us a report for choice?
Yes, most definitely.
Great, go ahead whenever you're ready.
So Choice has been working on our ASB clubs lately. We actually have quite a list of ASB clubs, starting with our senior club, our outdoor club, our art club. We have a native club. We also have an equality club and a boys club. The voice club, I think, is around like student magazine, I believe. So like comical stuff. And then we've also been working on our senior workshop, which is actually going really successfully. I think that might be all as far as lately, but I believe that there will be more.
No, that's great. Sounds like there's a lot of different things going on there. Thank you very much for that report. Are there any questions or comments from board members? I'm not seeing any, and I did not see Quinn, but I just want to say his name. If Quinn is out there for a report on Cedar, or if he joins us later, we can always catch back up with him. So I'm not seeing his name right now. So we will move on to 5.02, which is the recognition of school board members in honor of January being School Board Recognition Month. Wyeth, it looks like your name is attached to that.
Thank you. Yes. So one of the advantages of being a superintendent is that you're able to work closely with school boards. And one of the few things that I think people don't know out there is that being a school board director is incredibly hard. It's a huge time commitment, and you have to give so much to it because there's just so many pieces to how a school district operates. The details can just kill you. And we here in the Shelton School District have been tremendously gifted with school boards over quite a few years that have done a tremendous job in supporting the district, but also through those efforts are also recognized by WASDA as one of a board of distinction due to their work with school district personnel and the community, keeping us updated and ultimately moving us towards our goals. So we together would really like to present to each of the board directors a certificate of thanks and appreciation, as well as a particular flower or plant arrangement for you. So you should have either received that or will receive that. In this virtual world, it's a little bit more difficult, but I would want to go out there and thank you, specifically Board President Davidson, Director Best, Director Ward, and Director Wheelander, and hopefully, maybe if she's at all listening, Director Tarswell. So thank you all, 5 of you, for your service to not only the Shelton School District, but to me, is also the community. Because again, you schools are the center of our community and they impact so many lives. You are very unlikely to see all those results, but they do happen later on. Your decisions today really impact a lot of the things for kids that aren't even enrolled right now in the Shelton School District, but will be in the near term future. So thank you. Look forward to getting those certificates, and most certainly, again, those arrangements that will show up. I can see Director Wheelander right now really already getting a vase out and somewhere to plant that. Yeah. I don't know if anybody on senior cabinet wants to add anything, because I know they also work closely with you as well.
I would just like to really express my thanks. You guys make our lives much easier because you are so good to work with. So thank you for your support.
Yeah, I would like to echo what, oh, sorry, Marianne. I'd like to echo what Brenda said. I've worked with some of you for a long time and others are coming on new. Wyatt said it, it is, I think, a thankless job, and people don't really realize the work and the effort and the heart and the commitment that you put into this. But we know, and we thank you from the bottoms of our hearts.
Yeah, and I would just like to tag on to what Brenda and Linda said. You guys put in so many hours. You're so supportive, and that's a reason why you are a board of distinction, because of the commitment and the time that you put in, and we can't thank you enough. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you all very much. And thank you for the certificate and the arrangements that will be coming. I definitely, I'm honored to work alongside each one of these school board members, and I can't thank them all enough for giving up their time to volunteer for their community, because I know each one of them cares about this community very much. So this is a great group, and I appreciate the recognition. Would any other board members like to say anything at this time?
No, I do too. Being one of the newer members, it's a privilege and an honor to work with this team. Like I said, I've known Linda and Brenda for many years. And it's sort of coming full circle. And so I really appreciate to see this side of it, and to share my expertise and make this a better program, the best that we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. It's been a really positive beginning to my serving on the school board, and everybody has been so nice and accommodating, and if ever I have a question, they get right back to me and helping me with anything that I've asked for, or when I need help on certain things. So I just want to thank everybody. Really appreciate all of you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for, obviously the appreciation. My wife will enjoy the flowers since she's the one that allows me to do this. Those will be handed directly to her. But I've appreciated being able to reach out to whoever I needed to, and they immediately got back with any questions, including a lengthy conversation the other day with Superintendent Jesse. So thank you.
All right, well, we will move right along then to item 5.03, which is the school improvement plan for Bordeaux Elementary. And that will be presented by Marianne Marshall and Kyle O'Neill.
Good evening, President Carr, elected members of the board. As Carrie just said, we have Bordeaux Elementary up presenting their SIP, and I'm going to hand it over to the building principal to introduce himself and to present his plan.
Well, thank you. Thanks, President Davidson and the elected board members. I'm excited to be here. My name is Kyle. I'm a first-year principal at Bordeaux, and this is my first year in the Shelton School District. And it's been a wonderful 5 months so far. So I am going to attempt to share my screen. Hopefully it works. It did earlier. Can you see? All right, perfect. So step one underway. It's on my right. I've got two screens. So if you see me kind of glancing over to the right, that is why. So this is our school improvement plan. This is for our ELA. Literacy is obviously going to be a focus of the Shelton School District as we move forward. One thing I just wanted to point out, you may notice is 50% of third graders, relatively probably a lower number than what we would usually have. But being that we are still in the midst of a pandemic, we wanted to make sure that our goal was realistic. We also want to make sure it was grounded in data. So the third grade team did do some assessments at the beginning of the year and determined that, based off those assessments, that 50% was going to be a challenging but realistic goal. Obviously, we hope for higher percentages as we move forward. So here's some of the things that we are doing at Bordeaux. And what you can see up here is we do some small group instruction. This is also in conjunction with our whole group instruction. So these two first graders are drawing letters and letter groupings in sand. And then they repeat back. There's an adult standing over here. So they'll repeat back those letter sounds, to the adult. Down here, you'll see some more of the small group instruction. This is being run by one of our fantastic paraeducators that we're hoping to groom up into be a teacher at Bordeaux. She's a Shelton graduate. This right here is some data from one of our classes, fourth grade class. And so they set these goals based on some reading strategies they were working on. And then the teacher graphed the goals. So it's hard to see, but it's September to October. And this particular was 72% of the students had mastered this skill. It went up to 84%. This was 64, went up to 70, so on and so forth. So you can see through all these skills, there was growth. And then they were able to do a classroom strategy or a classroom celebration. And then down here, this is a huge piece to our, not only our literacy and ELA, but also our math and other subjects. It's our learning intentions and success criteria. And you can kind of think of it as a treasure map. So X marks the spot, that's your treasure is your learning. So you have your learning intentions or your targets, and then the success criteria is the steps you take in order to get to the treasure. So for example, this one here, which is a second grade, the intention is to add double-digit addition using the new groups below. So the steps a second grader has to take is I can add my ones, I can make a new group below, and I can add my tens. So the whole purpose is students should know not only what they're learning, but how they access and how they show their success. And so it's just mapped out very, very clearly for them. And we do this in grades kindergarten through fourth grade. This is our social, emotional, or behavioral goal. And what we would like to do is it says the percentage of incidents involving physical aggression will decrease from 28% to 14%. I don't want that physical aggression piece to scare you off. This can look multiple things. It's not necessarily fighting. It's very often at our level, it is not fighting. It's just hands-on. So we are trying to teach students ways to utilize some other skills and strategies to show their frustrations instead of acting out physically. So here are some things that we're doing. So we're always building on successes and looking for positives. So we have Kelso's choices. This is some choices that you can do instead of putting your hands on somebody. You can walk away, you can talk it out, you can get an adult. So these are what we teach the students in the classroom and out on the playground so that they have strategies in order to help alleviate the problems before getting an adult. We also talk about major and minor or big and small problems. These are some big pause, and our big pause are what we do to recognize classrooms. And so one of our goals right now, we issue a Mrs. Kennedy, who's my assistant principal. It's the Mrs. Kennedy challenge. And our challenge right now is to make sure your masks cover your mouth and nose. So if ever we see a class out there covering their mouth and nose, we write them a big paw and they get certain celebrations. So today I got to go down to a third grade classroom who had earned 75 big pause and we played bingo for half an hour. And it was just a lot of fun. So they get recognition at 25, 50, 75 and above for all sorts of various things. These are our Bordeaux tickets, and students get this for being safe, responsible, and respectful. And they get put into a drawing, which you can see down here. And this is Buddy the Bulldog. And on Friday, we draw out names, one from each grade level. They come down, get their picture taken, get their name over the announcements, and get a pencil for being safe, responsible, and respectful. This is an example of our check-in, check-out system. So we do have some students who just need a little bit more focused attention. There's a lot of research behind that it just takes one positive adult in a child's life to make a lasting impact. And so we target students who may be having struggles academically, socially, or with attendance. And we set them up with a specific adult, then they can check in based on their goals. And so this is an example of a goal sheet. This is how we track it with the pause. And then they can graduate out of the program. If they graduate out of the program, they get a certificate, they get some recognition and an award. But the main piece is they get another adult in the building that they have a relationship with that they can go to. This little lady is one of our kindergarten friends. She struggled at recess time. It was not a successful time for her. It was not a happy time, which it should be. So fourth grade happens right after kindergarten recess. So what we decided to do is she gets to come in at fourth grade and she gets to hand out condiments. And it's been purely positive for her. The fourth graders love her. She loves the attention. They sang her happy birthday the other day. She gets to hand out the prizes. We have a wheel. So every grade level has all their names on the wheel. And it's a random name drawing. You have to be present to win. So it's a way to get kids into school. They draw their name. She gets to go take the prize to the fourth graders. So it was just a way of not being a punishment to lose recess. It was just purely positive, and now she has a whole bunch of fourth grade buddies that are looking out for her throughout the day. And then finally, what we're trying to do is just build relationships. You know, one of the things, we're a small community, and Bordeaux strongly believes, and I believe that, you know, we need our community to support us. So these are just some examples of how we do that. I've got a fantastic family liaison, Wendy Linkalis, and our counselor, Brian Worsbicki. So these are all food bags that they put together and collected and handed out at Thanksgiving time. This is our PTSO president, and we're handing out the food bags as we, during that Thanksgiving break. We're trying to put our fourth graders into leadership positions. So here they are doing crosswalks. Here they are doing some announcements. We do like to have fun. So here we are with some crazy hair day. You can obviously see by my picture on Zoom and my picture here that that is not my real hair. And then down here, we are like the US Postal Service, rain or shine, we're out front putting kids into cars. And so this is an excellent way to connect with parents. We're out there, we walk them to their car, we open up the door, we just greet the parents. And again, it's all just about building our relationships with our students and our families and trying to extend Bordeaux outside of our building. So that is my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can stop sharing here.
Yes, board members, if you have any questions or comments for Principal O'Neill, please feel free to jump in.
Well, I like the way it was laid out. I know we have a lot of Bordeaux children that come through our little in-home daycare here over the years. And so we see the effects of what you do there here, and we try to support that. So I like the thing with the playground. I mean, the recess, it's a viable way to redirect the attention to something positive. That's a very creative example, or it can be, you know, emulated in other areas.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I just noticed all the intentional ways of being positive, having fun, making what might even seem like mundane tasks of wearing your mask or having attendance, but making that a game, making it fun and earning rewards for it. I love the double thing of redirecting someone who was not having a good time at recess to doing something that she found enjoyable, as well as then meeting people that were older that can also help her with her social network there at school. So all of that just was great. And I really enjoy seeing the pictures and the slides. So it's nice to see that. Right now, As a parent with kids in school and a board member, we just don't get a chance to be in the schools the way that we used to. So any of the pictures are really appreciated. And it's very nice to meet you as well, because I know I and other board members probably have not had a chance to meet you. And hopefully we will be able to do that face to face here at some point soon.
Yes, hopefully. And yeah, thank you for that feedback. Yeah, that peer interaction is extremely important, especially these days. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, critical. Matt, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, it looked great, read well. Your intentions were all right there, but on top of the kindergarten coming in at fourth grade, I mean, first of all, it was a huge deal to me, and I really appreciate the outside the box thinking on that, but also putting your best foot forward, getting out and meeting the parents when the parents really haven't been able to be engaged the way that they have been in the past. Thank you. Very impressed.
Are there any other questions or comments for Marianne or Principal O'Neill? If not, we will move on to 5.04, which is the school improvement plan for Evergreen Elementary. And that will be presented by Marianne Marshall as well as Amber Targus, the principal of Evergreen.
Your technology is working, Amber.
I gotta test it out, you guys. It was a little scary earlier. Can everybody hear me? All right, so good evening, Board President Davidson and elected board members. Thank you for inviting, Ron is on here as well too, so I'm gonna give him a little credit. Ron and myself to talk about the wonderful things happening at Evergreen. Any chance we can get to talk about how great things are down here, we love to have that opportunity. So this is my second year as principal at Evergreen Elementary. I have not met all of you in real life yet. I hope to do that soon. And Ron's almost third year as an assistant. So I am going to try to share my screen. At least I've got my volume figured out. So that's half the battle. So let me see if I'm successful with the other part. Right. Can you see it? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So we will go ahead and start, and you will notice Kyle and I's are very similar. We decided to go with our color schemes. So you might see some similarities between it, but we had some good ideas together on that. So our academic goal this year is focused on increasing the amount of students passing our ELA, or English Language Arts, Smarter Balanced Assessment. We know by our numbers that we have lots of work to do, but we're committed to the work that's taking place in our classrooms. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the strategies and get into the pictures, which is the best part. So some of the strategies that we're focusing on this year is learning intentions and success criteria. So you just heard about that from Kyle, and he did a great job of introducing that. We've had a couple trainings on that so far, and we are currently at the point, we're still in the pandemic. Things are still a little difficult at times. So we are meeting the teachers where they're at, and we're focusing right now on really getting the standards posted on the board daily in kid-friendly language. You can imagine that looks very different in kindergarten than it does in fourth grade. So we're learning and, having growing pains through that as well too. But that is a goal of ours that we're working on. And you can also see what's unique about our building is that the standards are listed in English and in Spanish. So that's what you would commonly see in a lot of our classrooms, especially right now with the pandemic. We have many teachers that are the ones that are moving, and the students are staying put. So you would see that in a lot of classrooms. We also have some pictures up above, which is of the kids, which is of the best part. These are different reading small groups that you would see. So you see these two students over here, and they're working on some word work. So they have specific letters that they are combining together, and then they are blending those. And so two different classes actually in third grade, focusing a lot on that. And another big focus for us this year is getting books in students' hands. These are actually our kindergartners, so some of our pre-readers, but we really believe in the importance of getting those books in their hands, and so they can look at the pictures and form meaning from what they're learning in class. So this is actually one of our dual language classes. So they have books leveled for them in Spanish and in English, just depending on their level of understanding. The picture over to the left is one of our students who is sharing something that was actually written around Thanksgiving time. And they were sharing from different cultures what their Thanksgiving meal looks like. And so they were writing down their explanations, and then they were also sharing them with the class. So we believe kind of all these three combinations together are really going to create some strong readers. Down in the left-hand corner, we have something that is new to us this year. We're setting short-term goals. So really having students or having teachers look at data and be able to write goals that they're attainable and able to meet. We've done this with math, we've done this with English language arts and with Spanish language arts. So it's a learning process, but we're able to set those short-term goals to actually see if the students progress. All right. Our next goal area is actually in discipline. That's what we chose to focus on. And we chose office referrals specifically, not to piggyback off of Kyle, but it just happened that way. Looking at major incidents, our highest in 2019, which you may think that's a long time ago, which it was, but the data that we were able to pull up, we're still having some issues in the areas of physical aggression and defiance. Those are still our top two indicators. So on my next slide, you'll see, actually, I remember, I think President Davidson, you were asking about this. What do these office referrals look like? So we share office referrals between the 3 elementary schools, and that gives us a little bit of a picture of what's going on with the student. And that actually gives us data so we can track that over time. We put that into this beautiful system that spits out these great graphs. So this is our Swiss system. And you can see from here, this is kind of drives our why, is that physical aggression and defiance were our highest numbers. So that's what we really wanted to focus on this year. Just like Kyle said, as well with us, is we really focus on positive behaviors. That's really how we want to combat that, is really make sure that we're focusing as much energy on what we want to see, because we know that's where we're going to get the success. So over to the right, you'll see these wonderful things. These are our Wildcat Wows. Students get these every day in their classrooms, and any staff member can give them to them, and they collect them. It's a great thing. I will walk into a classroom at any point in the day, and a kid will say, "Miss Targus, I have 3 Wildcat Wows today." So they're really excited about them too, which is great. Our Wildcat Wows are aligned to our expectations. So making good decisions, solving problems, and showing respect. We call names over the intercom. Mr. Goodale's a lot better at it than I am. He has a lot of excitement about it. Students come up, they get something from our treasure chest, and then we post pictures on Facebook weekly. So it's a fun celebration for students. Another thing that's new to us this year, so another way we're also putting something positive out there, is we're doing Wildcat of the Month. And so each month we have one student from each grade level, so it's a huge honor, that is nominated by their teacher for embodying that word of the month. So this word of the month for January is integrity. So all month long, students learn about the word integrity, and then they're selected at the end of the month. We have an assembly at the end, which we would like to make it actually in real life, but we're virtual right now. We have a staff member that's chosen to read the students a book, so encouraging that literacy around our theme of the month, and then awarding our students. So that's been something they've really looked forward to as well. And it's something I really look forward to every month. One of our last things on here is we've added something new this year to really work on the physical aggression. What we've noticed a lot of times is students aren't getting that physical outlet. They're not getting enough of it. And especially coming from COVID and being stationary for so long, we have to kind of build that in a different way. So something we've done is we've added a calming room or a sensory room. We've kind of built that up from the ground this year, but really being able to get those kind of wiggles out for the students. They go in there and they actually look at a chart like this, and they're able to select the activities that they want to do that's going to help them. Trial and error, we learned that they need also a calming activity afterwards. They get all their energy out because they need to be successfully able to re-enter the classroom. So that's something new that we've added at Evergreen this year. I had one last slide, and I really just wanted to put, again, how many wonderful things that we are doing at Evergreen. And we're really focusing this year. I remember one of the first things that Mr. Jesse said to me is that, building climate and culture is your first step. And I really took that to heart. So, building culture and climate, it's really leads to high quality learning environments. And that's what we're focused on this year. In our building, you're going to see us out and about. That's who Ron and I are as people. So you can see over on the left-hand side, Ron's out running lunch. This is what we do. And this is actually what we love, is to be seen in the building. We know that's where we build relationships. That's where we see issues that need to be solved. And that's where we're able to positively interact with people. A big part of the job also is recognizing when your teachers need a little pick-me-up. This was, I think, round 1 of Delta variant, and we needed a little pick-me-up after all the cases, and just it was a rough week. So Ron and I thought, let's go get some coffee and some sweets and some Christmas music and put it on a cart and deliver it to teachers. So just recognizing when everybody needs a pick-me-up. Something else that we are really doing a good job of this year is carrying on traditions in our own way. They may look different, but noticing that Evergreen has a very strong, rich, this is what we do. These are our traditions. And so we really wanted to make sure that we highlight those as well too. So giving back to our families, we were able to support 59 families this year for holiday donations from the community. And that was just great to see, to be able to, bring light to some holiday cheer. We also have some different traditions that we did. We do our annual Turkey Trot. It was very different this year. We ran in masks, and this was the first time, I think, in about 1.5 years, some parents had been on campus. It was at a good point in the COVID journey, and we were able to have some parents come on campus, and it was the first time that I had seen that many parents. So that was really a great opportunity. Students usually get frozen turkeys and frozen game hens. This year they got Walmart gift cards. We switched it up a little bit to be a little bit more COVID safe. But that was a great experience. And then you'll see in the other picture, this is our annual sing-along concert. It's the last day before winter break. And we do this big assembly. And since we weren't able to do that this year, Ron and I went around to each class that was watching it virtually. So we were able to participate in that. But that is Evergreen Elementary. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Amber. I was going to ask if that running picture was the Turkey Trot, if that still was able to happen. So I'm glad you mentioned that it was, and that you're able to keep some of those very strong traditions going, because I know they mean a lot to the kids and the families there. I personally love seeing that both you and Ron are out and about as much as you are. It's nice to hear that that's, who you are as people. And I think that making those connections directly with those kids and the teachers is wonderful. I definitely want to say, it's nice being able to talk directly to some principals and assistant principals and staff on these meetings, because we don't get a chance to see you. And just thank you for the really hard work that you're doing right now. I know after kids have been at home, there are, an increase in behavioral issues and just reacclimating to the school climate and just getting back into that mode of learning. It's not been easy anywhere. And, recognizing that it is little things that matter to your staff, like the coffee pick me up and music, I think that's just all wonderful. I did have a question. I'm just curious, because you're saying that you built that calm room from the ground up. What would be an example of an activity that a kid would do inside of, or for that period of time to kind of get some of that energy out?
So we have a lot of different things just based on needs. Some of it was geared towards specific students too, which is great. But trampolines are a big hit right now. So we have a trampoline with those kind of bars where they can get some of that energy out. We also have something, it's called a bolster, but you can push it and it gets some of the physical movement out of it. We also have these tunnels that they can crawl through, and they really like that one as well too. Yeah, my personal favorite is a crash pad, because I get to show the kids how to use them, and it is just like it sounds. You run and you jump on the crash pad, and they really love that. So
yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it sounds like they really get to be very physical with those activities, which is what I was, kind of wondering. So yeah, that's great. Are there any other comments or questions by any board members?
Yes, I wanted to thank both the principal of Bordeaux and the principal of Evergreen for coming on and letting us get to learn a little bit about your schools, because I'm new on the board and I look online and Facebook trying to find out things. I want to know, and just you coming on here has really been wonderful, because I can see that your two schools are really doing a great job with the kids, and that is nice to learn and to know. And I look forward to in the future, getting to know more about what's going on. So thank you both.
Thank you.
And I too would like to compliment on the calming room. Was a really a great idea, for refocusing that attention to something that they want to do, and then the channel of that energy. I don't know where the heck that was when I was a kid, but we've definitely made some improvements in the last couple of weeks. Lynn is laughing at me. So thank you very much, Amber.
Yeah, I had a question about the calming room. I assume it's for individual students that need to go and take a break. And my guess is that it works pretty well for the individual students, but are you finding that the teachers and the rest of the classrooms or the rest of the classroom are able to stay more focused and continue that learning with that distraction also being removed?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, but like I explained, we did have some growing pains with it, because we did figure out, if the kid's coming in and they're jumping on trampoline or running on a crash pad, that amps them up. So then we had to build in there, what are we going to do to calm them down so they can re-enter the classroom? So it wasn't perfect at the beginning, but yes, now that is pretty good. And it is on an individual basis, but I'll even have a situation where I'll say, let's go check out this room. I want to tell you about this room. So sometimes it's just, let's see how the kid reacts to this room. That's been really great to see.
Well, your plan looks impressive, and the examples that you've put out there, I can tell that you and Mr. Goodell are leaders that are helping your school, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all very much for the presentations. They're very much appreciated. And so we will move right along to 5.05, which is an update on the Student and Family Resource Center. And that will be presented by Marianne Marshall and Betty Yu.
All right. Good evening, President Davidson, elected members of the board. I've asked Betty to come tonight and help me give an update on the Student and Family Resource Center and the activities going there. I first would just like to thank Betty Yu and her team for the countless hours and time that they spent supporting our students and our families, both within the school building and out in the community. I know Betty puts in countless hours, and I just want to thank her for her dedication and work since joining our team here in the Shelton School District. And I'm going to hand the presentation over to Betty and have her walk through and give you an update on what's happening.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about what's going on here at the Student and Family Resource Center. Are you guys able to see my PowerPoint? I'm not 100% sure about that. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I want to start by sharing our goals here at the Resource Center. So one of the main goals here is to be able to remove barriers to education for our students and families in need by connecting them with community resources. We work through our family liaisons. We have fabulous people working in all buildings who are identifying the needs of students and families to be able to access the resources that they need and meet their basic needs. We also support the promotion of the graduation for all students. So we provide support for all students from preschool all the way to high school. We work on with families and the students on a one-on-one at the high school level to be able to we do like a workshop with financial aid. We do different things depending on the students and families' need. The services that we offer, the Student and Family Resource Center, we have our clothing bank that is divided into what we call the new and the used room. At the new room, we have all of like new shoes and clothing items. Families are able to make appointments at the beginning of the school year, where they come and get like new shoes, coats, depending on what they need. And we actually keep track of everything that we're giving out, just to have an idea on how prepared we need to be for the next school year. This year, we have helped students with new clothes and shoes, over 100, I wanna say 150 students that we have provided assistance this year. Our youth clothing bank, families access this room every month as much as they need. The room is based on donations that are taken on a regular basis from community members. We were just approved for a second room, so we're working on a better organization where families are gonna be able to be able to shop better here at the Student and Family Resource Center. Another addition to our center, this year we were able to buy a washer and dryer using donation from Sierra Pacific and Green Diamond. So that's washer and dryer is accessible for any families who lack this resource. Unaccompanied youth are the ones that are more common to make appointments because they don't have the resource like at home, or they are couch surfing. Also, families who are double up tend to come and make appointments with us to be able to access the room. But we are happy to have that resource now in our center. We also have a food bank. We keep inventory. We try to stock it as much as possible, depending on how many appointments we have during the month. I am also happy to share that these last holidays, Cielo was able to donate over 100 food boxes for our families in need. So that was a really great thing to share with you guys. Every month, our team takes a trip to World Vision that is located in 5, and we're able to bring items to our center, such as furniture, toys, kitchen appliances, school supplies, and all these items are available for our families by request. We get requests from the liaisons. Usually they'll tell us what they need. So every trip we have specific items that are requested depending on the families that are needing them. Here are some pictures of how our center looks like. As you can tell, our food bank, our new clothing bank on the bottom where the rack is, and on the middle, we had an additional room where we're able to move the small appliances. So we have a second room for our used clothing banks. Since we're still working on moving the clothing bank that was located down at the district office. Now everything is gonna be here. It's gonna be like the one stop for our families where they can access everything they need, from enrollment to school supplies. And the school supplies that are showing on these pictures are in the same room as the food bank. Our liaisons come to our building once a month. They staff backpacks, and they have backpacks ready on their building. So if we get any new enrollments, they have backpacks available for students to have. Community events. We are always, every meeting that we have, we're always planning on community events. Two other big events that I want to share is our Back to School Festival. We usually have it 1 week prior to starting the school. We have free haircuts. So we cannot try to have a week prior to starting school, so the kids are ready by the first day of school. This last summer, we were able to have our Back to School Festival, and we had over 10 community agencies that came and shared resources with our families, same as the transportation department. Since we didn't have like an in-person open house, I think this event helped really for families to be able to answer some of the questions like transportation. And we were able to provide over 800 backpacks with supplies for students. Our second biggest event is our winter festival. We have to, play by every year. This year we had to have it being a drive-through event just because of COVID. We couldn't have an in-person event, but it was a really great turnout. We had a donated gift that we just wrap us as a present. So we had over 150 cars driving by the high school. That's where the event was done. And we were able to have other agencies that connected with families and provided resources as well. We had Grinch and it made a huge difference. Kids were having fun. We were able to make some face connection with family, and I think most of us, that's what we are missing. At our center, we also work with parent involvement. We have a Cielo parenting workshops where we, the classes that are more common for parents is like how to get a driver license, how to be more involved in my child's education, why is attendance, important, and we base it on parent input to choose the workshops every year. The other workshop that we had at the center is the Ready for K, and basically we provide the tools to parents on how to work with with their kids from birth to 5 to have them prepare by the time they come to kindergarten. This year, we're gonna start having an ELL PAC meeting. Mary Ann and the superintendent had the idea of having a meeting for our non-English parents to have their voice heard. We had a great turnout. Families enjoy a lot being able to communicate with the administration. So we are having our second one this coming Thursday. I feel like it's a good way to let parents know that they matter and that we want their opinion and we want them to share their concerns. So we are really looking forward to having one every month. Update, we in prior years, we were only able to open our clothing bank once a month on Fridays. Now the food and clothing bank is open 5 days a week, as early as 7:30, and our last appointments is usually at 4 o'clock. But our team is pretty flexible about accommodating for families who have a different schedule. I've always, have to come for families who need a better schedule. So we're always flexible to work with families that have the need. And like I mentioned before, we had an additional room where we were able to actually move small items. So when families come, they're able to see more what we have and be able to request the items that they need. We have volunteers coming to our center. Upward Bound students were so helpful during our Christmas festival. We also have students from Mrs. Statner special education room. They come and work at the clothing and organizing the food bank every week. So it is great to have their help. We also have community members and parents who volunteer on a daily basis. They hear the things that we're doing here and they want to give their time for our community. Row, we are trying to get people our community more familiar with our bus. We have had a row on the different events that we have. We're planning to do more community outreach, be able to deliver. We have used Row to help families deliver items such as, it can be furniture, it can be food. But we are trying to make that connection to continue to build the trust with our families. The center is becoming an integral part of our community and is known as a safe place. The center was moved from the transit center to the old Mountain View building about a couple years ago. So some families were not familiar with the move. So they are starting to reach out to us more. So they're knowing where we are and they are connecting more with us. But this is, a team effort. I want to thank to our team, our liaisons that are always, on the go, and they're always willing to work with families. And if they don't have the resource, we work together on finding what they need. Students, the staff support, counselors. Thank you for the referrals. Thank you for always reaching out to us, principals, administration. Thank you for reaching out to us when you think of a student that needs help. We're always here to try to find a resource. We might, we might not have it, but it is always worth to try. On our last picture, I just want to show 3 families that, with their permission, obviously, to share their picture, that were helped by our Student and Family Resource Center. Just start sharing. And let me know if you have any comments or questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Betty. It's really nice to get that level of detail on the Resource Center. I really appreciate seeing all of that. And I think even just for our new school board members, they may not have realized that that was happening out of the Mountain View building. And I had a question about that too, because I know in the past, donations of clothing or other items have been given at the district office. Does that still happen, or is it preferable to have an appointment, or does somebody just go up to the old Mountain View building to their main entrance to donate something?
So now that donations have been moved to our center here at the old Mountain View, I think because we're kind of in and out, so we try to base everything right now by appointment. So I usually ask people to reach out to me for appointment, just to drop off, just to make sure that I get the items in.
Yes.
But yeah, that's gonna be the new place where they can drop off donations.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate all of the services that you're providing. I know that, many of those items can really be just a key piece that helps a family, and a child, just have a better experience. I was curious. I don't know if you or one of the other administrators has a number, but I know in the past we've been given a number that, as far as homeless students in our school district, that it's been around 400. Has it remained around that? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Do we have an idea of how many we help at this point in time, or who need potential help in our school district?
Yeah, so so the center, it is open for everyone, but we do prioritize those students who are McKinney-Vento. I think last year it was close to 400, but it wasn't the exact number. It was just because we couldn't identify as many students due to COVID. I did a number, and I think in all districts, it was shared by OSBI that all numbers went down just because of the lack of communication with families. But then we see a big increase this year that we are in person. So our numbers are gonna be, above the 400. Actually, prior to pandemic, we were identifying more than 500 students in our school district.
Thank you for that. And I want to give time for other school board members to ask any questions that you might have for Betty with our resource center, or have any comments for her.
I don't have a question, but I'm actually very impressed. I knew the Shelton School District does a lot of things, but you've helped raise my level of respect and admiration of the school district up a couple of notches by knowing that we're doing this for the families that have few other resources available to them. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking on that. I don't say it's a burden, but that opportunity to help the families.
I just want to say thank you. When I first became re-involved with Shelton School District as a coach, I had no idea the level of the problem, the number of students that were affected by homelessness, just not having the basic necessities. we realized that the coaches were all taking turns just taking kids to the shoe store to get a pair of tennis shoes and some cleats so they could even turn out for football. Food, I mean, we were throwing food at them as fast as they could, and we would catch them taking sandwiches home so their siblings could eat. And it just became overwhelming that was even a thing. And thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much for all of those things. And I would be interested if those meetings are ongoing, if that's ever something that a board member can attend, just to come and also be accessible to parents and families. And, you know, I would be interested in that, and I'm sure other board members would be interested in if that were something that we could go face to face, or if that was virtual, whatever the level of meeting is when appropriate. So thank you very much for just all of the work that you are doing, and the help from everyone in our community that donates, and to just helping our community members out so that they can all, you know, have some of these basic, you know, needs. It's wonderful that you have a washer and dryer in there as well too. I didn't realize that they were able to have that. I love how it's all set up and that people can go in and shop for things that they need. I have witnessed myself one time when a family came in to get new tennis shoes, and I happened to just be down at the district office, and I saw the family walking out and how excited those kids were to just have brand new shoes. You can never underestimate how meaningful that is to a kid until you see it on their face. So thank you very much for all of the presentations tonight. That does wrap up our reports and recognition section. So we are going to move into the consent agenda. And you can see that we do have the typical things there. We do still have some of our field trip travels, and we did have that addition of 6.06. So if anybody has any questions, you are welcome to ask it, or we have, if you would like to make a motion, we can do that as well too.
I would make a motion to accept the consent agenda
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Hearing none, the consent agenda has passed. Now we will move into the discussion action items. We've got 2 of those here today, and they are both policies. So we will begin with 7.01, which is the proposed revision to policy number 2320, which is field trips, excursions, outdoor education, out-of-state travel, and international travel. This is the second reading. And Wyeth, I will let you take it over.
Thank you, Board Director Davidson. Yes, so again, coming back to the board for hopefully approval this evening for a revised update to policy 2320. As well noted in our conversations last time, even with a guest that came in and provided some insights into how this really does apply. And I think Brenda did a good job of that too. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of details underneath the applications for field trips. I heard from the school board as well as just really a lot of emphasis like, hey, make sure this is connected to educational outcomes. And we want to do that. But we also, of course, want to have the oversight and just making sure all the things are put together. But in the reality of life, a lot of things are done sometimes last minute. And so there's a lot of details that do need to be done and make sure their T's are crossed, all the supervisions in place and budgetary items are also on there so that kids can go have wonderful experiences. You know, as you can hear already, this last fall and over the winter, we have a number of activities and clubs and teams here for the Shelton School District. And they are going many different places, even within a pandemic. And so we just want to make sure it's done well for this school district and ultimately, of course, for our students. So just really around a revision. really moving that supervision to myself or a designee. We already have a process in place for any of this kind of activities. We need to be doing it anyway, and instead of ultimately waiting for each and every board meeting, which we're capturing probably less than 50%, only because a lot of them are emergency or again, last minute, like I was alluding to earlier. And then we have a procedure that's attached, few revisions to that, and that was really just again trying to shift that to ultimately my approval, and that we have a process in place to make sure that again the form's filled out and all the steps are taken to ensure that we have safe travel and that it again is related to educational activities. So with that, I'll move that back to you, Board President Davidson.
Yes, and has everybody had a chance to take a look at that? Do you have any additional questions or comments for the superintendent?
I have nothing more.
Matt, Marilyn?
No, I have no questions on it.
Okay. I do not either. If there is a motion, it is recommended for approval at this time.
Do we do both the policy and the procedure, Carrie? Okay.
It would be, I believe it would just be the policy that we are needing to vote on.
I move that we adopt policy number 2320 regarding field trip excursions, outdoor education, and out-of-state travel and international travel.
I second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the revision to policy number 2320, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no. Hearing none, the proposed revision has passed. Now we will move on to 7.02, which is the proposed new policy number 3424. This is opioid-related overdose reversal, and this is a first reading, and Wyeth and Jenny Lafreniere will be presenting this to us.
Great. Again, thank you, Board President Davidson and other board directors. Yes, this evening, presenting you for initial reading and then hopefully ultimate approval of policy 3424 and attached procedures that would accompany it. We are in the middle of an opioid crisis. If you are simply driving around in any city that I have in Washington State, you can see the impacts of this particular health crisis. It is everywhere. And so there are steps that we can take to help save lives. And so the Washington State legislation has moved forward, passed that into law, and they have asked really out there for state agencies and other, frontline responders to take action to reverse the impacts of a possible overdose. There are medications available out there to help reverse the impacts, to stop that particular, anybody who's possibly facing an overdose, to help save the life of someone. And so there are specific things and plans within this particular policy and procedure that follow directly what is being recommended by OSPI and the Department of Health. So those are the two governing bodies that have provided direction in this particular area. So if we're going to do that, we need those tools at our high school. And so we have nurses in this district. They'll be providing the training. There's a whole guidance steps for folks about how to go ahead and read the signs if somebody might be possibly facing addiction. You can actually read those right into the documents provided to you and in the packet. And then, what are you going to receive for those trainings, addition to not only reading it, responding to it, administering it, but there's also other safety mechanisms such as storing the medications for us and then logging any of the maintenance of whether it has ever been used or where the levels are at for the medication. And then of course things do expire. So we would have our nurses train a number of staff, school administrators, safety personnel, Those are generally the folks that would be responsible for this. And of course, in addition to our nurse or med techs. So we will be doing that, getting the training out there. We'll have a rostering of our training, things that can be submitted. And of course, this is one of the things that OSPI would come through eventually in an audit. I think it just makes us a safer, stronger community by having these particular resources. And then, you know, in the event that we do this, it's not just the reversal of the medication, but then also calling 911. So it's just really about helping to save lives. A lot of people refer to this particular medication as Narcan. That's what we're talking about. If anybody's familiar on this particular call, we would go through that. Just again, you got to go really on the steps of, you know, what is this kind of policy procedures for us for a school district. I have already done this in my previous role for this particular policy procedure. It is due this year. I did it last year. Same policy, same procedures. That not only are we looking to move forward in front of our school board this year, I know other school districts are doing the exact same steps again as part of a mandate through the state ledge. I think I'll just stop there and we'll take any questions since we're on the first reading.
Yeah, quick one. When I was talking about the storage and the school nurse, and I don't have it in front of me because I'm stuck with one computer right now, but it said should or may have access to it on site or be stored on site. Given that there are no side effects, it's a benign drug, and it's very easy to get through the health department, even in town here. I would like to change that to shall, and it should be on site and accessible to school nurses or staff that are trained. I think that is a better word in this particular epidemic.
You don't have it in front of you, so I will look to email you what I believe is what you're asking for the revision, since I'm not on any particular line.
Okay.
But I will do that. And then I'm going to have to run that by legal because I know the lawyers are all over these documents.
I'm certain that they are.
I'm sure you are not surprised, but thank you. I will work through that process.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I will just make a comment. I was on the Board of Health meeting this afternoon, and we did get a report on this as well. And just within the Mason County community, all of Mason County, so not just here in Shelton, but 300 lives were saved last year by the use of Narcan. So that is quite a few people that get a second chance. So this does sound like this. I mean, it's a mandated policy, and this is just a first reading. So if you don't necessarily know what your questions quite are right at this point in time too, you are welcome to give the superintendent a call or email any questions or possible ideas for revisions. If you still want to, there's time to think about this and look through the information and come up with any questions that you might have if you're not quite sure at this point in time. Marty, did you have something?
No, I've read through it, and I just recalling an article I read just the other day of a 13-year-old that died from fentanyl. I mean, this is a very serious situation, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So I agree with Matthew. If we have the ability, and we shall do it then, and just have it there. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the medication will always be there. I don't know. There's a little bit of a perhaps the play on words also because other individuals outside of the school, out of Sky School who are registered and can have it on their own selves can also have that. So I'll just read through it, make sure that it reads correctly about the intent, because I do believe I am understanding the intent of just making sure it's always readily available. Is that correct, Dr. Wiehlander? Yes. Okay. Okay. And I imagine that's where Director Bess was helping me.
Okay. Was there anything else with that, Superintendent Jesse?
No, this is pretty standard stuff. It's just another opportunity for us. We do quite a lot of medication, so there's some things that just fold right into that.
And then Jenny, I know we haven't heard directly from you, but I'm guessing that this all falls underneath your department and watch. So I didn't know
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
had anything else you wanted to add.
Nope, pretty straightforward.
Yes. All right. Well, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, we will get out of discussion and action items and we move into our second community comment period. And I haven't seen anybody, I've just seen people drop out of the meeting, but if somebody happens to be listening in online and they are calling in, we can go back to what that number is. For people that are calling in is 1-253-215-8782. And the meeting ID number is 872-5618-1978. And I should know this by now, so correct me if I'm wrong. Is it *6 that unmutes you?
Yes,
*9.
ma'am.
*9 raises the hand.
Yes, ma'am.
See, Bob, you're going to be out of a job now. I can do this.
Oh, bummer.
I'm just kidding. That is something I will always have to get help with. So I'll give it just a few more seconds to see if there are any community comments or if there's anybody here in the meeting that would like to raise their hand and make a community comment. You're welcome to at this time.
President Richard Beckman has his hand raised.
Oh, okay, great. Richard, please feel free to make a comment at this time.
Okay. I was just wondering, Mr. Jesse, if the student representative policy revisions that I worked with Quinn Martin on ever made them to you for revision or for you to look at them?
I have them. Yes, I do
Oh,
have
okay.
them, and I've actually looked at them, and I'm kind of just piecing together some additional ideas just to add a little depth to it. So it's on my desk, and I've been working on it. So no, it's coming. So that's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all your hard work. Appreciate
Perfect.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying on top of that and following up with it as well, too. So now we will move into board member comments. And I will start tonight with Director Wielander. You're the first person I'm seeing on my screen.
I don't actually have a whole lot as far as comments, other than everything I've seen, thus far. Everybody's doing a great job. Appreciate the access, and the willingness to help out with any questions anybody has. But one of the things that I've noticed as a parent in the school district also is I get a little weekly thing from Principal Kipper and Principal Juves from OBJH. And it's a great little update, gives me news about the school in general, lets me know kind of what's going on. And the question I have is more of a favor than anything. Is there a way to get on the mailing list for all of the schools so I can kind of see what's going on around the world, not just in the two schools I have kids in? As I was going through looking at Principal Kipper's kind of report and weekly update, it has great information on there. I didn't realize how busy our bowling team was. And there's just a lot of stuff going on that I don't think we see enough of. And I'd like to just be more up to date on some of those things. So I don't know what other principals are sending stuff out to all the students, but if specifically me could get on all of those, I would appreciate the reading material. And I don't know how the rest of the school directors feel, but I would like that, please.
I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. So I think that if that's something, and maybe Superintendent Jesse, you and Marianne, if you can possibly see if they could put us on their email lists. I get them just for OBGH, and it is always helpful. So to see what is going on in the other schools for the school board members, I think that would be.
Yeah, we'll look into that. I think it's pretty easy to do. I would just preface with the chances are that it'll go for this school year. We might need a reminder to update that for the next school year. So I will just apologize just because it's not a natural process, as you can imagine. So, but yeah,
We can make a
Mariana can
policy.
bird that.
Yeah, yeah. And it may be something that, even goes for a little while. And if we find it, as it goes on, it's not as useful, we can always, just update things as it goes.
That's all I
That is-
have. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead. That's all you had, Matt? Okay, great. Marilyn, do you have some comments to share tonight?
I would like to piggyback off of what Matthew said. As I had said to the two principals, I looked for information on the schools, and I haven't been too lucky in finding anything. So that would be great if we can get on the emails from all the schools. And also, I was going to bring up that I received the recognition and in the mail from the Washington State School Directors Association, and I was just very appreciative of that, and wanted to let just say that I was. And also, I'm looking forward to receiving the flowers. That's a very nice gesture. So that's about all I had.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Okay.
And Marty.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to circle back to something. I always like to keep track of what I call my open source intelligence streams and find information. I remember earlier in the school year, there was comments of a call-in concerning the traffic issues about drop-off and pick-up for students. And I've seen that's been a topic that's been floating again. At some point in the future, I have no doubt that the school is working the issues, but it would be helpful for us as school board members to maybe get an update from the administration on what has been done or what things can be done. I know it's a challenging situation. My wife gets to play with that when there's no bus 131 and she has to run kids around. And so I get a immediate feedback. So it's, I don't think we need a transportation time and motion study, but some of the things that the school does, just so we can let the community know that the administration, the transportation guys are more than aware of it and the actions they're trying to take to remedy it. So we can just share that with the community. At some point in the future, that'd be very helpful. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Best. And I guess that leaves me tonight because I do not see Sandy was able to join us. And yes, it's been a busy week for me. I will say one of the highlights was last week going to the strategic planning meeting. It was just a great opportunity to listen and see, firsthand what this process is about and coming up with the visions and the goals and the mission of the school district that will then be conveyed to each employee. And that's going to be what directs, our budget and our priorities going forward. So that was a great opportunity to see. The second important thing for me last week was I am a graduate myself from Shelton High School. I started in the school district at Mountain View Elementary, and I sat in the theater of Shelton High School last week listening to them talk about the different high school options for my oldest child. And that was a very surreal moment for me, hearing as a parent what will be potential offerings for my child. It was pretty incredible, and it was not super well attended, and COVID, of course, is to blame for that. I can completely understand why people would not feel as comfortable going to things in person at this time, but it was very nice to hear the presentations by Cedar, by Choice, and then also by Shelton High School, and to have families be able to ask particular questions to each school and find out about particular things with the academies. And I know there will be other opportunities for that, and they are walking all of those 8th graders through the process of registering for high school and making their choices. but just for everyone who had a hand in putting that on, it was a great event to go to. And speaking of COVID, of course, that was a big part of the Board of Health meeting today. It's not the only part. There's a lot of public health that definitely needs to be dealt with outside of COVID, but there is some positive news. All of the signs that our medical director, Carrie Gardner, was talking about, and Dave Wyndham, the director of the health department there, they were saying that it does look like Western Washington and Mason County included is looking like it is getting to a peak, and nobody has a crystal ball, but they're hoping that this does start to go down just as rapidly in the next possibly 2 to 3 weeks. So I am very hopeful that we will, in a fairly short period of time, start to see some impact of COVID cases going down. One thing they talked about, and Wyeth, I meant to send you a message about this. They were saying that they do not have specific recommendations to local school districts at this time, but the national organization that comes up with different guidance for health departments is talking about potentially stopping contact tracing. And so we may start hearing some of that. You're all nodding your heads that you've probably heard that, just because the community spread is so wide. The prevalence of home tests is going to continue to be raised. And so they're just finding that that is not where, as a public health, that their efforts would be. They did talk about contact tracing when it comes to communicable diseases and other senses. It is very useful, but the spread that we're at now, they're looking more at just focusing their efforts on other things. So I wouldn't be surprised if we, they said that our Washington state has not decided yet. They have not come down with official guidance, which of course we would hear about if they did. But I did want to make mention of that because I thought that that was interesting. And the school board statewide calls that I usually attend, they did not have one last Thursday. So that's why I didn't send an email with any information on that, because it was a short week. They just did not host one, but there will be one this Thursday. And any legislative updates that pertain to schools or any other statewide school board information, I will be happy to pass on to all of you. In the last email that I sent, I hope everybody was able to get it, but I did pull the printable school calendar, and you can either look at that electronically or you can choose to print it out. And the superintendent, I know Choice and Cedar graduation are on there. We will get a definite confirmation on Shelton High School. And of course, all of those things are subject to change if there's anything that comes up, but at least we'll have an idea. You can, if you're making plans in the beginning of June timeframe, you can know which dates to maybe hold off on if you are planning on attending any of those graduations in any form that they're going to be. So that is all that I have at this point in time. It does not look like we have a need for an executive session. So at this point in time, if someone would like to move to adjourn. And you guys don't want to leave the meeting? You can just stay in it if you would like to.
I'll move it.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed say no. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.